Hello. Good Monday morning, y'all. Monday morning. We are here, and y'all see the moniker. You see the label. You see what we're talking about today. Should Jasmine Crockett help James Talarico? Is she obligated to help James Talarico? I mean, all this weekend I've been inundated with TikTok videos and all this kind of thing. Everybody suddenly has an opinion about whether Jasmine Crockett should jump in and help James Talarico, because apparently he has a problem, I guess, with black voters. Some act like it's her solemn duty to help him, and others act like she should stay as far away from his campaign as possible. The truth is a lot more complicated than the social media hot takes. But before we can even get into whether she should help him, let's talk about the sheer audacity of the conversation itself. Because what we're witnessing right now is not simply a debate about endorsements. It's a debate about political memory. It's a debate about respect. It's a debate about whether black voters are expected to forget everything that happened during a bruising primary in which Crockett got her ass whooped the moment the establishment decides it needs the black voters again. So for months, black voters were told that their strategy of expanding the electorate, of centering the very people who have anchored the Texas Democratic Party for decades was unrealistic, unviable, and unelectable. They were told that the candidate that they believed in, Congressman Jasmine Crockett, wasn't the right choice. They were told she was too combative, too aggressive, too risky, too much. For months, black voters were told that the candidate they believed in, Congressman Jasmine Crockett, wasn't the right choice. They were told she was too combative, risky. The political establishment and the large portions of the media spent months and months and months explaining why she couldn't win, while millions of dollars flowed into efforts designed to stop her momentum. Powerful donors, political insiders, and influential voices lined up against her campaign, even lefties, even left commentators, creators on this app and many more tried to sabotage Jasmine Crockett. Her supporters were constantly lectured about electability, and the coalition she built was often treated as though it was inconvenient rather than a legitimate political movement. After all of this, people are somehow surprised that many of those same voters are not immediately enthusiastic about falling in line behind James Talarico. Okay? Even though he might be way far and ahead above Ken Paxton. Let's be clear. He is way above Ken Paxton in morality, just a whole host of things, right? And now suddenly everybody wants unity. After all that infighting, they want unity. Now everybody wants loyalty. Now everybody wants Jasmine's audience, her credibility, her organizing power, and her ability to energize her voters. Now everybody wants the very people they spent months telling they were backing the wrong person. They want that wrong candidate to come out and help them get black voters. And somehow we're supposed to act like none of that happened. They're supposed to act like none of that happened. When Jasmine Crockett says she wants to spend her time helping down-ballot candidates, local races, judicial races, legislative races, and county offices, some people act as though she's committed some act of betrayal. I don't understand.
George Cook at African American Request. James Talarico supporters in Texas seem to be having issues with Jasmine Crockett not being on the campaign trail, trying to get votes for Talarico, especially when it comes to black voters. Well, who is Jasmine Crockett responding to that?
I put out a statement that has almost 150,000 likes on Twitter about supporting the Democratic nominee. I've never supported a Republican. And so it's just this idea that, like, I don't really know if it, like, makes people feel better to talk shit, or if it's literally, the right doing everything that they can to keep the Dems distracted and in disarray. I'm not really sure, right? Because they win when you're focused on, like, internal ish instead of external stuff. I will say it for the record. I am not currently running for U.S. Senate, and therefore you will not see me on the trail as if I am running for U.S. Senate. I am not running for U.S. Senate. Instead, what I have always said that I would do, whether I was the Senate nominee or otherwise, is that I will be helping down ballot candidates.
Now remember, y'all didn't want Jasmine Crockett. Y'all didn't vote for her. And it's not her job to get black voters for James Talarico. It's James Talarico's job to get the black voters. So leave Jasmine alone. You didn't want her. Let her finish out her term in peace. All right, y'all. Goodbye and God bless.
Now, Jasmine's office has been getting call after call after call after call. She's being harassed at her, I guess, campaign headquarters, whatever, wherever she's being flooded with calls from Democratic lefties or liberals or the far left stating that she should be helping James Talarico win over the black people vote. That's not her job. Think about how absurd it is that they're asking her, the candidate that was unelectable, the candidate that nobody wanted, the candidate was too loud, too brash, too this, too that. They want her now to get on the campaign trail and help James Talarico. A sitting member of Congress says she wants to strengthen local political infrastructure, help build power from the ground up, and support candidates who directly affect communities every single day. And somehow she's the villain. Somehow she's wrong. Somehow she's supposed to do more. I have never seen a candidate who lost election have to go out and then is forced to go and help the person that they won against or lost against. I'm not saying it's never been done. I'm saying, why are you all asking her to do it? Okay. It's the same exhausting political playbook we've seen for years. This black woman is expected to save the day, but the moment they exercise independent political judgment, people get uncomfortable. That is why this conversation is so crazy, and why this is what this conversation is all about. This isn't just about one endorsement. It's about a deeply entrenched pattern where institutional power structures routinely undermine, sideline, and dismiss the black voter and the leaders they choose. Let's start with the electability argument that they had against Jasmine. Throughout the primary, many voices inside Talarico's coalition framed the race around electability. The argument was simple. Jasmine Crockett couldn't win statewide because Texas wasn't ready for a black woman. Think about what that message communicates. It tells black voters that the candidates who most authentically represent their interests are somehow less viable than the candidates preferred by donors, consultants, and political advisors. It tells them that they are expected to compromise while everyone else gets to pursue their political aspirations unapologetically. Then there was the avalanche of money. Talarico's campaign benefited from a massive financial advantage fueled by outside money, super PAC spending, and institutional support. Grassroots organizations were forced to compete against political machines. Black churches, community organizers, neighborhood activists, and volunteers were expected to overcome disadvantages that would have crippled most campaigns. And honestly, why would they be enthusiastic after that? Jasmine's side. Politics just doesn't work that way. Trust doesn't work that way. Relationships don't work that way. If you spend months telling Jasmine's people that their candidate is the wrong choice, if you spend months dismissing their concerns and questioning their judgment, you shouldn't be shocked when those same people need time before they enthusiastically embrace somebody else, specifically Talarico. That's just human nature, though. Then there was a controversy surrounding comments attributed to Talarico regarding former Senate candidate Colin Ulrich. Whether people view that controversy differently or not, the broader issue remains the same. Many Black voters walked away from this primary feeling disrespected. They felt dismissed. They felt talked down to. They felt like their concerns were treated as inconveniences rather than priorities. And those feelings don't disappear simply because the primary ended. Another uncomfortable reality many people don't want to discuss is the behavior of portions of Talarico's online support base during the primary. Specifically, the far, it may have been the far lefties, the liberals, I don't know. Those people, Talarico supporters, Black voters who supported Crockett, were frequently accused of being divisive. Organizers were told they were hurting the party. Community leaders were lectured about what was supposedly best for them. People who had spent decades building democratic infrastructure in Texas were suddenly being treated like obstacles standing in the way of progress. The irony is almost unbelievable. The very people who helped sustain the party through difficult years were being portrayed as a problem. And where was this accountability? Where was the effort to address this hostility? Where was the acknowledgement that harm had been done? Too often there was silence by the Talarico campaign, because you cannot build a genuine coalition while ignoring the behavior of your own supporters. You just can't. You cannot preach unity while allowing disrespect to flourish unchecked in your campaign and your supporters. You cannot ask people to move forward while refusing to acknowledge what happened in the past. Leadership requires accountability. Leadership requires honesty. Leadership requires the willingness to tell your own supporters when they've crossed the line. Has the Talarico campaign done that? Has the Talarico campaign addressed the issues that that alienated Jasmine supporters? Because now you're asking for Jasmine to come out. They have been calling her office, asking her to come out and support James Talarico. You want her to support Talarico. Then the Talarico campaign needs to address their supporters. That would go a long way with Jasmine's supporters helping Talarico. Okay. But see, here was the thing. A lot of the Talarico supporters said, oh, we don't need the Black vote. We don't need the Black vote in Texas. We just going to convert some MAGA people. We're going to convert some Republicans. We're going to convert the independent. We're going to convert all these people, and we really don't need a Black vote. So why are you all calling her office now, telling her she needs to support James Talarico? She endorsed Talarico. When she lost, she endorsed him, said, hey, I congratulate you, blah, 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 blah. Now she's campaigning for down-ballot people. She's campaigning for people who ask her to campaign. Has the Talarico camp reached out to Jasmine and asked her to go stump speech for her? Have they asked her to do that? Okay. Expecting solidarity without accountability is not leadership, it's extraction. And honestly, this is the part that keeps getting ignored. People keep asking why Jasmine Crockett isn't immediately jumping into the fray to help James Talarico. They keep acting like her hesitation is somehow proof of her disloyalty. But if we're being fair, the real question isn't why she's hesitant. The real question is what happened during the primary that would make anybody expect immediate enthusiasm from her camp. Let me play this clip.
I really wish people would stop talking about Texas elections like they understand what goes on here. I think it was Hawk who mentioned in his comments that you can't quote unquote gerrymander statewide elections, but you can suppress voter turnout, and here's how Texas does it. If you vote in a primary, you are required to designate your party affiliation. Once you designate your party affiliation for that primary, that party affiliation becomes your party affiliation for the remainder of the year. So even though the state of Texas has open primaries, we technically don't, because you still have to be affiliated with the political party. Furthermore, for a candidate to win the state of Texas, especially as a Democrat, they have to win 6 Democratic strongholds. Those being El Paso, the Rio Grande Valley, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. A majority of those places are all comprised of minority voters. Now, if you look at how James Talarico is polling with black voters, it stands to reason that James Talarico will not win enough of the vote out of Houston specifically in order to carry the state. And it seems like to me, people are hedging their bets that enough white voters would swing for James Talarico rather than trust in the fact that Houston is a Democratic stronghold that Jasmine Crockett could win. Most of the other Democratic strongholds tend to vote for whichever Democratic candidate wins the primary. And understanding that Austin and Dallas are the only 2 Democratic strongholds that have a healthy mix of minority and white voters, and the rest of the Democratic strongholds are mostly Black and Latino, it stands to reason that the logical choice would be Jasmine Crockett to win the primary. Because what a lot of people don't seem to understand about Texas is that we have Republicans who have been voting Republican their entire lives and would rather chew off their arm than vote for anybody under the Democratic banner. So in summary, if James Talarico does not win Houston by enough of a margin and can't get enough white voters to swing for him to make up for that loss, he will lose the state.
This is low blow. You don't need.
So, a lot of black voters spent months being told their candidate, Jasmine Crockett, wasn't electable. They spent months hearing that their political judgment was all wrong. They watched millions of dollars pour into the campaign designed to stop Jasmine Crockett. They watched supporters get lectured, mocked, treated like obstacles instead of allies. They watched people spend money and months explaining why Jasmine Crockett wasn't the answer, and then suddenly turn around and demand she have loyalty the minute they needed her coalition. You need the black vote in order to win in Texas, unless you're going to flip many white folks. Are they flipping white folks in Texas? Are they flipping a lot of Hispanics in Texas? So therefore, you're going to need the black vote. And I understand that you're coming out to talk to Jasmine Crockett to get Jasmine Crockett to help you. But you better start talking quick, okay? You better start talking quick, okay? That's why there's a hesitation, because of the disrespect that they feel. I'm not from Texas, so I can't make the determination. All I'm saying is you're going to need some of these Jasmine Crockett supporters, okay? This is why there's a hesitation from her. It didn't appear out of thin air, though. It was created. It was built over months of frustration, disappointment, and perceived disrespect. So when people ask why Jasmine isn't rushing in to help Talarico, my answer is simple. She don't have to. She don't have to. Jasmine Crockett spent years building her platform, earning her credibility, developing relationships with voters, creating an audience that trusts her. None of those things were handed to her. She earned them through hard work. That means she has every right to decide where she invests her time, her energy, her political capital. If she believes her efforts are better spent strengthening local candidates, which she apparently does, supporting judicial races, building long-term political infrastructure, that's not betrayal. That is a strategic decision that politicians make every day. The burden shouldn't be on Jasmine Crockett to explain her hesitation. The burden should be on the people asking for her support to explain why they deserve it. Because at the heart of this entire debate is one little fact. Now they want Jasmine. Now y'all want Jasmine. Now y'all want Jasmine to help y'all now. Huh? Now you need help. Now you want Jasmine to help you. The question many voters are asking is why they didn't want her before. Now, despite everything I've said, there are still legitimate reasons Jasmine Crockett might decide to help James Talarico. Politics is ultimately about outcomes. If Crockett believes helping him with advanced policy she cares about benefits her constituents, protect vulnerable communities, or prevent outcomes she believes will be harmful, like letting that piece of trash Ken Paxton become senator, then there's a strong argument for cooperation. Maybe James Talarico needs to reach out to Jasmine personally. Coalitions are rarely built between people who agree about everything. They're built between people who agree on just enough. Helping him could expand her influence, introduce her to new audiences in Texas, and demonstrate that she can work with different factions of the party while maintaining her own identity. Those are legitimate arguments, but so are the arguments on the other side. Ultimately, if James Talarico wants the full-throated support of Jasmine Crockett's coalition, he needs to do what every politician in America does and who expects to win. He needs to earn it. Winning a primary does not automatically entitle you to the enthusiasm, trust, and political energy of the people who spent months supporting somebody else. If he wants those voters on his side, then he needs to show up in those communities, listen to what they're saying, and acknowledge the frustrations of Black and Hispanic voters. He needs to demonstrate that their concerns matter beyond election season and that they're viewed as partners rather than voting blocks that can simply summon whenever they want to summon them for the party's expediency. Let me play
Jasmine Crockett to help out with James Talarico. Guess who helped James Talarico out instead of her? Look at that. It's Barack Obama helping out James Talarico. So technically there's no issue here of helping James Talarico at all. You don't need Jasmine Crockett.
Absolutely. And I've been seeing a lot of variations of the same comment. Something along the lines of, if Talarico wins, then the Democrats lose the Black vote. And my genuine question, not trying to be condescending, is how do we not see that as disrespectful to Black Democratic voters? For one, Black people are not a monolith, and we should not treat them as such. There are Black Republicans, Black people who voted for James Talarico, and Black people who voted for Crockett. And I know that for me, if Jasmine Crockett won the primary, I would vote for her in the general. I'm not just going to abandon the general election and let the Republicans win. So why are we not expecting the same thing from Black voters? It sounds to me that the people who make that case are implying that Black voters will only vote for Black people, and that does not seem fair at all. It's certainly not fair to Black voters to say that they only vote that way. I personally find that take to be disrespectful to Black people, and in the worst case, racist. Which is crazy, because those people are using that argument to accuse people like me, who are advocating for Talarico, of being racist. And I really want to emphasize that I'm the student here. This is an open question.
I can't believe y'all got me.
This is the part that people miss. You don't get automatic loyalty because you won a primary or because you're a Democrat. Because if that were the case, Kamala Harris would be the president. If that were the case, you don't automatically get loyalty. You don't automatically get enthusiasm because party leaders tell you to fall in line. Okay, you don't get instant trust simply because the election calendar says it's time to unify. It doesn't happen like that. Trust takes time to build, and respect has to be earned. If people want Jasmine Crockett and the voters who supported her to fully invest in the Talarico campaign, then they need to make a compelling case for why that partnership benefits everybody involved instead of acting as though support is an obligation. And if Jasmine Crockett decides her energy is best spent supporting down-ballot candidates, protecting local offices, and strengthening, judicial races and things like investing in long-term political infrastructure, that is not betrayal. It's just a strategy. It's smart politics, I guess. It's community-centered. Those local races determine who sits on the benches, who oversees counties, who writes state laws, and who impacts people's daily lives. Those races matter very much so. The real question is not whether Jasmine Crockett should help James Talarico. The real question is what she gains, what her constituents gain, what the black voters gain, and whether the partnership advances the goals she cares about. These are good reasons. There's very good reasons for her to help him. There's very good reasons not to help him. Reasonable people can disagree. But what should not be controversial is this. Nobody's entitled to Jasmine Crockett's loyalty. Nobody's entitled to black voters' loyalty. None.
On the internet today defending Jasmine Crockett of all people. I did support Jasmine Crockett heavily and loudly. That was before learning that she supports Israel. But I haven't come out and made any videos about it because I don't believe in making videos disparaging black women. It goes against the collective progress of black modern society. But even with the AI pack aside, she is still a black woman and she's still a congressional representative that lost her race to James Talarico. As his supporters, the same people demanding her help right now, launched a racist campaign against her that dehumanized her and disrespected her and degraded her for simply being a black woman. Now, American opposition has taken to threads to retract their endorsement of Jasmine Crockett as if she ever gave 0.2 of a single fuck, because she's not interested in tap dancing for Talarico nor his supporters. Black women aren't obligated to save anyone who builds an entire movement to reject us. American opposition called themselves asking for Jasmine Crockett's assistance with the Talarico campaign. And when Jasmine Crockett formally said no, American opposition decided to go on a barrage of racist replies in their comment section under the guise of confusion. I can't keep up because the right-wing people are blaming racism on grief. Now the white leftists are being racist because they're confused. But when you think about it, it's crazy because you claim that you asked Jasmine Crockett, begging and pleading for her to help you get better numbers on the Talarico campaign. And Jasmine Crockett responded with a no. Why was your response then to retract an endorsement? It doesn't sound like you were asking. That sounds like it was a demand. It sounds like it was an ultimatum, like an instruction or else, and she told you to fuck off, respectfully. And who the fuck do you think you are making demands of Jasmine Crockett, a leftist political organization with 21K ran by a kid named Carlos that called the police to arrange for him to be sure that he won't be arrested when he throws a protest? Miss me with the bullshit today. Because be so fucking for real, what more did you want her to say? Like,
Crockett says, quote, "This morning I called James and congratulated him on becoming the Senate nominee. Texas is primed to turn blue and we must remain united because this is bigger than any one person. This is about the future of all 30 million Texans and getting America back on track."
That's the question I have now. It's whether you think we'll see Talarico physically reach out to Crockett for an endorsement to ask for her support.
I think at some point he's going to have to. I think even though she did lose pretty resoundingly in the general election or in the primary earlier this year, she still has a real hold over black voters in Texas. And that's a huge and important demographic block for the Democratic Party here, especially if they're trying to sweep statewide. And so I think he's going to have to do some outreach to her campaign. What form that takes, I'm not sure.
Hey, y'all, this is George Cook.
Wow, okay. So they're going to have to reach out to the Jasmine Crockett campaign. This shouldn't be controversial at all. She doesn't owe them loyalty. Coalitions are partnerships. They're not obligations. They require mutual respect. They require accountability, and they require memory. Because black voters remember. We remember. They remember. They remember who stood with them. They remember who dismissed them, who disrespected them. They remember who only discovered the importance of unity after they needed the votes. Now, people say Jasmine Crockett should support Talarico. I'm one of those people that we got to defeat one person. We got to defeat Ken Paxton. Okay. There's nothing wrong with James Talarico. There's nothing wrong. But when you have a hard fought fight and the other side has been demoralized and hated, you need to reach out to that other side because you need that other side. You need to reach out with some kind of compromise with that side and figure out how you're going to get those people to vote. Because even now I hear people or see people online, I'm not voting James Talarico. He's just like Manchin. He's just like Fetterman. He's just like Sinema. And I'm like, oh, you got a problem with the black voters in Texas. You need more than what you got in Texas, because white women have been known to betray the game plan. They betrayed us in 2024 when they voted for Trump. They more than likely may betray James Talarico. So if you bank on them betraying, you bank on white women and minority women too. Y'all, you minority and white women. You've always went against your womanhood. You've always went against your best interest to side with Zaddy. But if you bank on them and you don't have any black votes in the kitty, you might lose, because men are out here talking crazy about, the gay and the transgender and all that other guys. See, that's the problem. We can never stick together as Democrats. Nobody sticks together as Democrat. You always got one interest here, one interest here, one interest here, instead of the collective good. The collective good is to get rid of Ken Paxton. Every human being should look at Ken Paxton and say, hell no, we don't want this person. But this person actually got polling. That's the seriously bad thing about it. He has some polling. And his polling is not that far behind Talarico. And then somebody said Hillary was 10 points ahead of Donald Trump, and she still lost. Kamala was like 2 or 3 points ahead, and she still lost. So I don't trust the polls to tell the truth. I give them about 80-90% percentage that are good, but I don't really trust those polls that say anything about Ken Paxton, because he's worse than Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is one of the worst. So if you get somebody worse than Donald Trump, then you in trouble. Even a dog in a dress should be winning right now against Ken Paxton, even a dog in a dress. But they still have him in the polls doing halfway decently. That just shows you the moral fiber that Republicans have. They don't have any fucking moral anything to vote for that particular person. Put that person in one of the position. That person could be third in line to the presidency, and these goofy motherfuckers are gonna vote for him in the Texas race. He could be third in line to the presidency. He's maybe even worse than Donald Trump, and I thought Donald Trump was the worst, even including all the races all the way back. Donald Trump is the worst. Okay, so it is what it is. So she don't owe any loyalty to Talarico. It would be nice if Talarico reaches out and we could put an effort into beating Ken Paxton in Texas. But a lot of people keep saying, no, it's not going to turn blue. It's not going to turn blue. I don't put anything past Texas, because Texas is supposed to be racist. They're very racist, and who knows, if they're very racist, they probably won't vote for him because some goofy logic that they got going on. But who knows? So, if you like Jasmine Crockett is racist and she's race baiter, and that's why I don't listen to people in the chat, because you don't know the difference between prejudice and racism. Two totally different things. Please get a book out and please read about two totally different things. Racism and prejudice. Two totally different things. She's not racist. She can be prejudiced, but she's not racist. Please know the difference. So if you like my content and you like the video, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I have videos like this every day. So I might have a video this evening. I don't know. Just look out for the notification. Turn on your notifications. Turn on all the notifications so you will get a notification when I put out another video. I appreciate everybody here, and I will see you in the next video. Please and thank you. Hit the like button. Please and thank you. Share and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate all of you guys.